Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. In our first story, the OP had the misfortune to dress as a store employee, and he witnessed a crazy customer who waged war against spilled milk. Does he have a vendetta against the concept of milk made from rice? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Clean it up. So I was in the grocery store getting some things when I came to the baking goods aisle. For some stupid reason, the rice milk is under that aisle. Anyway, while I was there, I saw a customer pushing all the milk onto the floor and stepping on it. He turned to me and started yelling at me to clean. I did the stupid thing and was wearing black, close to the employee outfit. I looked at him as he yelled, "Who needs this milk? And stop staring, I'm the customer, I can do what I want." I backed out and went and found some real employees. E equals employee, me equals me, RC equals rude customer. Me. There's a guy destroying the rice milk. E. Oh God, not again. Runs off, followed by the other employee. I follow them and watch them pull the guy away. RC. I can do what I want. I'm the customer and I don't want those stupid milk in the store. I watched as one employee pulled the guy away and kicked him out. The other started to clean up the milk. E. That guy's been doing that for the past couple days and has been banned from here. Me. Wow. I got my milk and left the store, seeing the guy yelling at the manager and a police officer. And our second story. When vendors attack, or how a cheating store owner got what he deserves. I own a small online shop that sells smartphone accessories, but most of my business is wholesale. When I was new at this business, I made a mistake and sold some merchandise to a shady store owner at a very prime location. I knew that he's a con man and it might be a mistake to make business with him, but I was still young and naive. I sold him some items, and instead of money, I told him that I would like to get a new iPhone 4. He agreed to the barter and told me that he had none in stock and that I should come in a week to collect my new iPhone. A week came and he told me to wait another week, then another, and another. After a month or so, I got frustrated and called him saying, "I'm coming tomorrow and I'll either get a new iPhone 4 or cash money or all hell is about to let loose in your store." He told me to go stuff myself and I said, "Fine." Next day, it was Friday, the busiest day of the week. By now, you might see that I'm not an American, but an Israeli. Sorry for the possibly poor English. I came to his store and asked, "Where's my money?" He told me to come back on Sunday and he'll write me a check for 60 days. And I knew that this check will bounce. I told him, "Well, you asked for it." I went outside the door of his store and every single person going by was warned by me that this store will rip him off and take his hard-earned money away. Store owner didn't like it, as it was a very busy day at the mall and his store was empty. So he called mall security. The security guard came, asked me what I was doing, and I told him I'm doing a public service and alerting people from being scammed. The guard asked me to quit, and I told him I will not, as it's a public venue, so he left. Reminder, Israeli law is different than U.S. law. Store owner calls the police. 2 police officers come and check what it's all about. As I'm not disturbing the peace, they had no reason to prevent me from being there. With all the commotion, a lot of curious people are gathering by. Each one hears a TLDR of the story by me. Last, he sent his tech guy to frighten me. I'm 197 centimeters, 6'6" tall man, and the tech dude's a small boy that barely reaches my shoulders. I laughed it off. So after a few hours and at least $1,500 US lost in missed transactions, he calls me and we sign a contract that promises me a new iPhone 4 in a week. After a week, I come by his store, all victorious, and collect my brand spanking new smartphone. Wait, it's not over. A week after getting my new device, I go abroad for 2 months, all while enjoying my iPhone 4. Upon returning to Israel, the phone refuses to make a call. A quick search, and I found out that my device had been announced as stolen, a common con that renders the device useless in Israel while reimbursing the original owner of the device by the insurance company. Again, I had to come to that store, and again, the owner tried to convince me that nothing's wrong and it can be easily fixed, etc. But I remind him that I know he's full of crap, and if I will not get the money he owes me, that Black Friday he had with me will become a daily occurrence, not to mention the trade of stolen goods. So after a while, he gives me all that he owes me, plus some for pain and suffering. Epilogue. Con artist continued to con people in his store, and mall owners were unable by law to close his store. Also, law enforcement against con artists like him is flimsy at best in Israel, so no arrests or something like that were made. He did change the name of his store and later its location to another part of Tel Aviv, but as far as I know, he's currently off of business. I'm sure he'll reopen sometime in the future. And our last story. Renewed lease with management company, but owner don't want any tenants after current lease period is over. Whatever you say. I moved into a place in a college town and it seemed perfect. Low rent, newly refurbished, backyard for my dog, included washer and dryer, etc., etc. The one problem I had was the owner. Even though he hired a property management company to collect rent and manage the property, he would constantly drop by to look over the property, saying he would renovate this or that part of the house or just stay and shoot the bull after I gave him multiple not-so-subtle hints that I wanted him to leave. His son had previously lived in the unit, so it seemed he was used to being able to come by whenever he wanted. And as a retiree, he very often wanted to stop by. Well, at the time, the state I lived in required 24-hour notice for when a landlord or management company could drop in unannounced. Edit, needed to notify you before they showed up at the residence. Also, in my lease, it specifically stated that any contact between the owner and myself needed to go through the management company. So being tired of an old man hanging around my house, I called the management company to ask them to remind the owner that all communication from the landlord goes through them and for them to tell him to give 24 hours notice before stopping by as stated in the tenant laws. He did not like this. I'll also say that in college towns, property management companies really want to know if you're renewing your lease within a few months of you moving out. They typically run on a schedule similar to semesters as far as when people move in and out of the properties. I moved into this place in January, and they went as far as letting themselves into my house to leave a note asking me to let them know whether or not I was renewing my lease 2 weeks after I'd moved in, as I'd signed a 6-month lease. Not sure why they couldn't just send an email, mail a letter, or call me, but I think they learned their lesson about being pushy that day, as I was doing yoga in my underwear that morning, and the poor girl they sent over to deliver the renewal letter was probably traumatized for life after seeing my fat butt and downward dog. Anyways, I liked the place enough to renew and signed a year-long lease renewal. About 3 months later in March, I got a text from the owner saying that he heard I was interested in renewing my lease, but that his daughter had been accepted into the university, so he wanted her to stay there. This was confusing to me because A, he should have gone through the management company to talk to me, and B, I had a lease contract already signed by the rental company and him. I call the management company to sort this out, and the conversation goes something like this. Me. So, the owner of the property I'm living in contacted me to say that he isn't interested in leasing the property anymore. Company representative, CR. Oh yes, it looks like the property won't be available next year. Me. Okay, but I have a lease signed by both your company and the owner for the next year. CR. Well, I'm sorry, but the owner no longer wants to lease the property out. We can help you find a new property in the area if you like. I'd read the lease pretty closely, and at this point I had the suspicion that the owner and the company thought I would just roll over because they said so. Unfortunately for them, I was about to come back with some malicious compliance to their own lease. Me. So you're saying that your company is breaking the lease contract we have for next year? CR. Whoa, nobody's talking about breaking any contracts with anybody. Me. That's what you just said. I have a lease for this place with your company, but the owner doesn't want to lease. We have a contract, but you're unable to fulfill the contract because the owner's backing out. CR. No, this is something you need to sort out with the owner because he's backing out of your lease. Me. By our current and renewed lease agreements, all contact between myself and the owner is required to go through your company. I already renewed the lease for next year with signatures from both your company and the owner. At this point, the disagreement is between you and the owner over whether he wants to back out of the lease we all signed. Good luck sorting it out. We went back and forth like this for a while, and eventually I got passed up the chain at the management company to one of the owners. While I was waiting, likely because they were scrambling to come up with some way to convince me my complaint was a lost cause, I was reading my lease and I noticed some vague wording having to do with the company being responsible for accommodations during periods when the property is unavailable or inaccessible. I spoke to the management company owner shortly after this. Management company owner, MCO. I know property owner personally, and there's no disagreement between us about this property being available. He wants his daughter to live there next year, so we're not renting it out. Me. That's your prerogative. But at this point, are you breaking our lease contract? MCO. No one is breaking the contract. Me. Okay, then if you're saying you want to keep our contract, but the house will be inaccessible because the owner won't rent it out, then you're willing to put me up somewhere else for the duration of the lease for free? I pointed out in the lease where this statement was, and MCO hung up the phone. I'm no lawyer, but the management company probably could have argued that it wasn't the intention of the clause, seemed to be more pointed at pest infestation, but was listed in a general section of the lease. I'm pretty sure they just gave it up because I didn't hear from them about this after that conversation. They must have decided it wasn't worth the hassle from me and told the property owner that they had his signature on a contract they weren't going to break or honor under the circumstances of paying for me to live somewhere else free for a year. There were some half-hearted texts from the property owner after that threatening to evict me, but I did end up staying another year there. We can't give you the place. So you're breaking the contract? No. So you can give me the place? No. Sounds like a contract break to me? No. Damn, this company is good. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.